People talk a lot of shit about horror movie remakes, but there are actually quite a few remakes that I prefer over the original. I love the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but there is something about the 2003 remake that affected me like no other horror movie ever has. I will say a lot of these that I'm going to mention are from the 2000s when like I was actually old enough to watch them when they were coming out. So that probably has something to do with it too. But regardless, no matter which one you prefer, I think the '03 Texas Chainsaw is one of the stronger horror movie remakes out there. And this one is actually just one of my favorite horror movies of all time, period. Another one of my favorite horror movies all time is the 2009 remake of The Last House on the Left. As much as I love Wes Craven, I actually think that this movie is like significantly better than the original. I think that's probably because while in this version the SA scene is very difficult to watch, the whole original movie is very difficult to watch. It's very sadistic, it's very gritty, and obviously like that was the kind of exploitation movie being made at the time, so it makes sense, it fits. But I think the '09 version is easier and just simply more entertaining to watch. 2006 When a Stranger Calls. This is another one I have like a nostalgic connection to because I remember seeing this one in the theater. This is one where, to be perfectly honest, I actually strongly dislike the original movie. The 1979 When a Stranger Calls is a fucking snooze fest, if you ask me. This one's not even a question. I think this movie's a fucking banger. Prom Night 2008. I think it's difficult to call this one a remake because it is so different from the original story. Like, I think it would have been better received if they just didn't call it a remake. Like, if they just gave it a different name and made it something completely different. But regardless, I like this one better than the 1980 Prom Night. Again, probably a nostalgia thing because I specifically remember watching this movie over and over with my friends at sleepovers and we would like shit our pants. We loved it. 2005 House of Wax has such a special place in my heart. I love the 1953 House of Wax, and while I do believe that is the better movie, I enjoy watching the 2005 remake more. I feel exactly the same way about Dawn of the Dead. I think the Dawn of the Dead 1978 is the stronger movie. It's the more iconic movie, but I enjoy watching the 2004 remake more. There is really something about these 2000s movies that just hit so different. This is one, I actually see a lot of people say this, and I totally agree that the Friday the 13th 2009 remake is better. Jason isn't even in the OG Friday the 13th, it's his mother. And while that movie is absolutely still a classic, I think this is the scariest version of Jason in any of the franchise. So for that reason alone, I think this is the better movie. Another 2000s one, but I significantly enjoy My Bloody Valentine 3D from 2009 way more than the OG from 1981. The 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers is one of my favorite movies of all time. And while the original one from the 50s is very good, I think the 1978 remake is significantly better. It 2017. I'm going to be that guy. This is technically not a remake because the original is a miniseries. It's not a remake of the movie. It's just another adaptation of the source material. But regardless, I love the 2017 version of It. You've probably heard me say it's my comfort movie. I fall asleep to it every night, and I think it's way better than the 1990 version. Though I love Tim Curry to death, and that movie will always hold a special place in my heart because it's what made me terrified of clowns. I think the 2020 Invisible Man is way better than the 1933 original or any other variations that have come in between. Just fucking love this movie. It's one of those where it's so infuriating and anxiety inducing, but the ending is just so satisfying. And finally, a modern one. I think the 2024 Nosferatu is better than the 1922 Nosferatu. And I'm somebody who respects and loves silent movies. I love them. I do think Count Orlok in the 1922 version is way fucking scarier. But the 2024 is tough to beat. It's just so physically beautiful.